All right, I'm going to get started if everybody's ready. Middlebury Special Town Meeting will come to order. The legal voters of the town of Middlebury in the county of Addison, the state of Vermont, are hereby warned and notified to meet at the large conference room Middlebury Town Offices, 77 Main Street in Middlebury, with access via video conference also available on Monday, August 30th, 2021 at 7 p.m. for an informational meeting on Articles 1 and 2. And on Tuesday, August 31st, 2021 from 7 a.m. through 7 p.m. at the town offices, 77 Main Street in Middlebury, to vote by Australian ballot on Articles 1 and 2 as provided by the Middlebury Town Charter. The legal voters of the town of Middlebury are further notified that voter qualification, registration, and absentee voting shall be as provided in chapters 43 and 51 of Title 17 Vermont statutes annotated. A few notes from myself this evening. As the warning states, this is an informational only town meeting, so no action will be taken on any articles tonight. Voting will take place here in the town offices by Australian ballot. All motions, remarks, and questions should be addressed to myself as Madam Moderator. I will do my best to recognize everyone in the order of hands raised, alternating between in-person and online participants. Here in the room, after I recognize you to speak, please stand up, come to the seat in front of the camera, state your name, and if you are a Middlebury resident, for the record, and speak up so we can hear you. For online participants, please put up your Zoom hand and wait to be invited to speak. When cued, unmute your microphone, state your name, and if you are a Middlebury resident, for the record. We will hear you speaking, but your camera will remain off, and only designated presenters will be seen on camera this evening. I will be granting the opportunity for everyone to speak once before offering a chance to speak a second time. As always, I ask that you keep your comments civil, as brief as possible, and confine them to the topic at hand. I will warn you if your time is close to running out. I would like to introduce your select board. We have member Esther Thomas, Vice Chair Heather Seeley, Chair Brian Carpenter, and member Dan Brown joining us this evening. Because this is a warned meeting, consent must be given for several non-residents to present information and answer questions, and their names are Town Manager Kathleen Ramsey, Joanna Doria is joining us from Ripton for Article 1, and Howard Widlitz is going to be joining us for Article 2. If there's no objections to these folks participating, then we can begin.
Howard would be here.
I move.
You are, oh, sorry, Howard. So Howard does not need special permission. So it's just Kathleen and Joanna. Are there any objections online? Kathleen, I don't see any. No, no, okay, so let's begin. Hearing no objection. Article 1 is, shall the voters of the town of Middlebury approve, pursuant to 16 VSA 724C, the proposed financial plan dated August 9th, 2021, for the withdrawal of the town of Ripton from the Addison Central School District. And I would like to invite Joanna Doria to present information regarding Article 1.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm happy to be here virtually with you all this evening. I'm going to focus on just 3 things and keep it very brief. It's a very straightforward exit agreement. It was voted and passed unanimously by both boards, and we think it's a fair agreement with the focus on Ripton taking back the debt on our solar panels and us being responsible for all of the leases for like the photocopier that's now in the school. And then there's a catch-all at the end that says anything that we are not really aware of at this moment will continue with this process, with the idea that Ripton was whole before merger and we're going to be whole again after merger. And I think, and then one of the items is to buy back the school and the land for $1, which is what happened with merger.
Are you ready to take questions, or?
Yes, I can take questions if there are any.
Are there any questions in the room for Joanna? It looks like there might be, there's no hands up. Are there any questions online for Joanna? It's like,
I don't see anything. I haven't seen
I don't see any either. Okay. Give it one last second. Nobody? Thank you, Joanna, for presenting the information. If you had any last thing you wanted to say, it was pretty quick. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to Article 2. Shall general obligation bonds or notes of the town of Middlebury in an amount not to exceed $323, subject to reduction from available alternate sources of funding, be issued for the purpose of purchasing units in the Bristol Community Solar Project pursuant to 24 VSA 1751(3)(b). And I'd like to invite Howard Widlitz to come up to the seat and make a presentation.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So I don't need to step through the article again, so let me provide a quick background of how we got here. I am currently the chair of the Middlebury Energy Committee, and we have been looking at adding to the current renewable energy portfolio that we have, which is would be adding to the net metering that we could for the town. So net metering is where GMP would provide credit to the town for any of the renewable energy that's produced, electricity produced from a renewable source. So in this case, we're looking to purchase units in the Acorn Energy Bristol area. The Energy Committee went off, we've been looking at this for some time now, probably somewhere around a year, looking at various options to see, and what we did was we developed a set of criteria on which to base the decision. And as we were going through, the Acorn Energy Bristol project came along, and we factored that into the options, and it turned out that that was the best option based on the criteria, one of which, and probably the most important, is the cost savings that it produced. Since it will provide the greatest savings to the town, we'll go to the next slide. So, oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we came to the select board with our recommendation on the 13th of July to purchase 25% of the units in the Acorn Energy project, in the Acorn Energy Bristol area. There was a request for more information, at which time we came back to the next select board for a decision, and the select board approved. You approved it on the 27th of July. The next slide shows you the recommendation that was taken to the select board. As you can see, there's an average savings of $7,222 per year. We'll get into a little bit more of that. I'll be brief. And the savings could potentially increase over time. There are various reasons for that. Reduction in O&M costs, operations and maintenance costs. Also, panels, it's not like they end after 25 years. The production can continue after that. And at that time, since if in fact it's approved, Middlebury would have part ownership, and the decision would be made whether or not you want to continue obtaining credit for those panels. Number of reasons for moving ahead with this. Obviously, it's increasing the renewable energy portfolio for the town. We all know where we are with climate change and looking to reduce the carbon footprint as much as possible, and that's certainly a goal of the Energy Committee. It's also a great location in Bristol. It's on a brownfield, which is pretty much it's land that's not really usable for anything else. And then, and it's also supporting the local cooperative. So those are some of the reasons that we came to this decision. So the numbers in terms of the savings. Now, it's important to stress that, well, first of all, our recommendation is for 25% of the array, but it's based on what is available, the number of units available at the time a vote's taken. So if it's approved, whatever's available, Middlebury can acquire up to 25%. And the agreement with Bristol, with Acorn Energy, was that there would be a minimum of 15%. So at the very least, Middlebury would acquire 15% of the units, which would be 276 units. And you can see the two savings. Now, it's important to note that the savings, so over the 25 years, let's see here, it's $180,000. And that's after the bond principal and interest payments to the bond are made. So this is savings on top of the bond payments and the interest that goes along with it. So it's important to note that this is a saving, an overall net savings to the town, and therefore does not require any tax increases to support this. And that's part of the reason why we identified 20-year bond as being optimal, because, as you'll see on the next slide, savings will be obtained every year that this is in operation. And the analysis shows that it's a somewhat conservative estimate, so it is expected to be a greater savings than this, but this is, we don't want to set too high a bar on that. So if you see on the next slide, yeah, you can see over the course of the 25 years that we would participate in this project, you can see how the savings increases based on the way bond payments are made. And after 20 years, the bond would have been paid off, at which time the savings would be $23,000 for each of the subsequent years. So that's pretty much all I have for this. So I don't know if there are any questions.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Yes, sorry.
It's
Didn't mean to
okay.
take-
That was me. Which percentage is left as of today? They're down to just 15%, aren't they?
I believe, yeah, it was actually after the select board gave approval on the 27th. There was a large number of people who decided to buy into it. And
We did well advertising for them.
I think that might have been part of it. Yeah, the fact that if Middlebury's supporting it, then maybe it's a good thing. Maybe I don't know what prompted that, but that's what we were told. So yeah, I believe it is down to 15% at this point. But that, I just wanted to address it the other way, since that was what was in the articles.
Looks like we don't have anyone online right now to,
Victoria DeWind is online.
does she have her hand up?
She does not.
Okay, so we can take online questions if you'd like to put your hand up. Hang on a second. No?
She's coming in.
Okay.
Hi, Victoria. If you would unmute, please.
There we go. Hi. So the savings, I mean, from year one, the cost, our electric cost will be lower than the bond cost. Have I said that right? The bond cost will be lower than our savings? Is that?
Yeah, I can. So what this means is so Middlebury will save $23,000 on the electric bill, and the bond payment would be $21,479. So the savings that's obtained through the credit exceeds what it would be. So that is the net savings, is what we're calling that. It's not like they're handing money over to you. It's just that the payment for the electricity would go down by that much.
Okay. And you're estimating the electric costs will be 23,000 year after year after year? I mean, what if that changes? What if it increases?
Well, then it's more savings to the town as the savings increases. The estimate was that each panel will put out about, it's, what did I say, $50 per unit. Or, I'm sorry, it's $500 per year per unit. And that's how they estimate that. Now, obviously, panels over time degrade slightly, but the electricity rates also will go up over time, at which point it would increase. So this is an estimated savings that's averaged over the course of 25 years. So each year might be different than what appears here, but this is how, this is based on averaging.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Are there any questions in the room? Other Seaman?
I just have a comment, and I just would like you to pass along to Acorn that I appreciate their willingness to work with us and set aside that 15%. So just pass along to them my appreciation that we can take advantage of getting in on this project. Maybe not at the level we wanted, but
yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, we'll be sure to pass that along.
Is there anybody else online?
There is not.
Okay. Looks like Ann.
Okay, I probably have like a silly question, but I was just thinking in terms of, it sounded at one point, like you said, that this would be for like 25 years and that the panels would probably continue to produce after that. And then we would have to make a choice on if we wanted to continue taking the savings. So I'm just kind of wondering, why would we not take the savings? Or what would the other option be? And at the point where these are no longer viable panels, what happens, and is there any kind of dismantling phase?
Yeah, and that's a good question. Those are good questions. Yeah, so the dismantling, all that is factored in to the costs. My understanding is that, and I don't know if anyone's on from Acorn Energy, but my understanding is that if Middlebury approves this, it'd have a 15% share. So all the shareholders, if you want to call it that, I'm not sure how they reference that, would have a say in what happens. You know, do you decommission at 25 years, or do you continue to take credit for it? And I think it would probably come down to the owners having to make that decision. I agree, it would probably make sense, especially since it's a relatively slow degradation, and probably I think what you'd have to base it on is what are the overhead, what's the operations and maintenance costs compared to what it's now producing. I'm not sure. I mean, us will be here 25 years to make that decision, but I think that's what it probably come down to at that point.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay. Any more online participants, comments or questions?
There are not.
Okay, any more in the room?
Just one comment.
Oh, go ahead,
So
Brian.
one comment on that. I think it was, if I remember right on the presentation from Acorn, it was a 25-year land lease. And so there's no guarantees beyond the 25 years. It would have to be negotiated by the existing partners of the operation at that time.
Right, that's true. Yeah, I do remember that, and I guess they could renegotiate.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for pointing that out.
Anything else? Did you want to say anything else?
No, I mean, you know, this is certainly works towards the goal of the Energy Committee, where, you know, as we've discussed in previous select board meetings, that we're looking to try and reduce the carbon footprint by 8% by 2030. So, and in general, with all we know about climate change and what we're seeing happening around the world, you know, it's important for us to do our share.
Thank you, Helen.
Sure, thank you.
Well, I will entertain a motion
Should I
to,
make a comment?
oh,
I
yes.
just wanted to make the comment to anyone that is listening, that, or if they watch this on YouTube or whatever, that voting tomorrow, if you have an early ballot out, you can still bring that and put it in the drop box. You don't have to come into the building if you don't want to. You don't have to come through the polls. You can put it in the drop box, and we will be checking that right up until the close of polls at 7. So that's an option.
Thank you. Well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, moderator.
Ta-da.